Hey guys, new video here. Character just hit level 100, and it hit level 100 with about 2.8k HPs, a little bit of ES. This video, before everyone starts losing their minds, is going to be for new players, because you might be wondering, wait a minute, self-curse, headhunter, how is that for new players? New players can't get that items. Well, this league, we have crazy Atlas points. People are farming, we got the Valdo Vincents farming Valdos. We got new Vistier. People are dropping currency all over the place. It's a lot easier to get Headhunter than you might think. You know, people just spamming the ancient orbs. A lot of people are getting Headhunter from Perandus in Lexi Joys, right? One of the best zones. And whatever you're doing, it's just people have boatloads of money, so they're going to have the Inspired Learning and the Headhunter, but the mechanics might be eluding them. They might be making certain mistakes. And so I got a lot of questions about the Headhunter thing, so we're going to make an updated 3.13 build video. So this is an Aki. And we're going to start with the Ascendancy first. Why Aki? Well, Aki gets things like hexproof, meaning that if a map says monster hexproof, doesn't matter. You can still self-curse and get juiced. It doesn't matter if there's a node on the rare monsters that says hexproof. Okay, don't say Jebaited Kadiro. Don't listen to chat right here. Right here. You see right here? People are going to say fake news because they want to ruin my video. But Perandus is one of the best mods, by the way. Okay, going forward with the video. So the Aki has the self-curse. So even if a rare monster has hexproof, which is they change it so that if you steal that, you're hexproof, you can still curse through it because you count as kind of like a monster, and they will have absolutely no effect on the hexproof. Next, we're taking this because this is amazing. An additional curse is additional more multiplier to your damage or defense if you want it. So that's free. You don't have to take the nodes on the top right. And also, if you want to get a ring, you can look at this league. There's a lot of rings dropping with certain implicits that give you free curses. So adding another curse is always good, and extra damage there is not bad either. Now, right here, you have Cone's Root, so you're already immune to stun, but this gives you a little bit of that juice regen when you're like, maybe you're on fire, maybe you don't have a dousing flask, maybe you have some degen on you. It's a little bit of that extra defenses that you might need at the start of a map. And then here, obviously, AoE is really good because AoE applies to everything, right? Everything you have on this BV self-curse build is AoE. Okay, so for example, your BV, your Explodies, your Hail of Ass explosions, all that stuff is AoE. So that is the skill tree. We'll get more into this as we go along. Now, more importantly, gameplay, right? I like to start with a little gameplay. Now, most builds, you'll make a build, you're progressing through the first parts of the league, and you are like, okay, as I get stronger, I do harder maps, right? Is the music too loud? Okay, I lowered the music a little bit. So as you go through the league, you're like, if I can do a white map right now, I should actually be able to do a red map, a juiced up red map, maybe later. Like maybe my character should get to that point at some time, right? However, with this build is really bad in unjuiced maps, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So let me show you this map in a regular tropical island map here. Okay, this is a tier 2 map, I believe. It is white. It has absolutely no modifiers on the map. There are no sextants, I don't think. There might be some sextants left over from before, but there's no scarabs. And now you will see the build here. So I'm going to play it normally. Okay, so I'm just running around. It's pretty nice. Let's pick up some items. Okay, yep. And yeah, for a white map, level 100 character, here we go. Yep, looks pretty good, right? Looks pretty good. You know, I'm actually pretty speedy here. Hit the little strong box. Yep, feels good. You're like, yeah, this is Headhunter build. Pretty average gameplay here. Okay, Headhunter for tier 2. Yeah, exactly. It's like it gets the job done, right? I'm not gonna do the rituals. Actually, I probably should do the rituals because they're probably better than the tier 16 rituals. But I'm just going through. Here we go. Will Kadibro spawn? Well, this is not Lexi Joys. This is just, I took a random white map. This is Glenotch Cairns. Now this was maybe not so good a map to test on because Glenotch Cairns has Beyond on it. Okay, so yeah, so this one actually has a little bit of Beyond on it, but you'll see the difference in a little bit here, right? So you wouldn't say that this build is that impressive for farming a tier 2 map. Okay, but let me get to the boss here. Where's the boss? Wait, he's somewhere over here. He's somewhere over here. Oh, here. Wait, is he dead? Okay, he's dead. And as you can see, that is the white map build. Okay, let's go into a real map here. Now this is a tier 16. This one has sextants, and it also has scarabs in it. Okay, and we're gonna put a little Beyond on here, and let's just see what this feels like. Here we go. And you'll see quite a difference in that the monsters and the juice in the map is actually the gear. Okay, it is just as important as the gear. So if you're not going to juice, then unfortunately, you know, the build's just not, you know, it's not going to be really like min maxed. Okay, so let's see if we can tell the difference. Now, as you can see, that map took a little bit longer to load, right? The Spirit Chambers, I don't know what's going on with these patches. Little bit you know, little bit laggy here in the load times. SSD, by the way, M2 NVMe, by the way. Okay, watch them die here and have to read the video. Yeah, okay, dude, it's just there's so much content in the map. There's probably a headhunter in here. There's probably a headhunter in here, actually. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna juice up. I'm getting out my challenge golem. Okay, here we go. And as you can see, the lag is coming now. Unlike some other videos, I'm actually gonna pick up items so you can see the flow of the build when picking up items, because like any build looks really good if you just go like this, right? If you ignore all items and you just like move forward, right? You just move forward here, and yep. Oh, we got June. If you don't pick up any items, you can make your build look really fast no matter what you're playing. Okay, and as you can see, the lag, you can see my EHP numbers are going up. All right, we're gonna pick up all the worthwhile items here. Ooh, a burial chambers map. Those shrines are from the gold, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, we have a little intervention here. We have Vagin rank. Wait. Yeah, that is actually very good. And this is going to be the intervention intelligence. We definitely want that. And so the base of the build are, how do we extend our buffs, right? Everything is being extended by a multiplier by 4. So normally header buffs take 20 seconds, right? However, we're juicing everything to 80 seconds. All right, and we'll explain how to do that in a second. I just want to show off the gameplay a little bit. I will do the ritual here. And so not only extending it, another thing I have to note is that it extends all the negative buffs on you, right? So if you have things like burning or bleeding, those things need to be taken care of, which we'll mention how we've done that later. 1 out of 3 intervention encounters here. Okay, I'm gonna open these chests because these chests could have things like 7 leak steps in them, and then you also see the Kadibro coming up, hopefully as a headhunter. Okay, if you notice, I have a lot of time to loot items, so you know, I can at this point I can like sit in the volatiles, I can sit in the mirages, and you have one of the biggest benefits is you have infinite time almost to loot items. We have a Varici. We need to downrank that guy, but not after we do this right here, +1, and then we downrank to move it that fled in research. And now we have 2 pure Chibi stones. If you guys want to know more about betrayal, I have a YouTube video on betrayal too. Yep, here we go. So make sure you're picking up all the items, because like if you pick up really slowly, you might actually die because your buffs are going to fall off. The number to pay attention to is that you see this 11 right here. The reason that it's always going to be at like 10 or 11 if I'm constantly moving forward in the map is because my Hero of the Thunder is refreshing that temp chains. If this temp chains thing falls off, you will die. Okay, not immediately, but your buffs will go back to being 20-second buffs, and then you're going to be in the danger zone, as I like to call it. Okay, so you do have a lot more time to loot, but you still need to be conscious in keeping up your temp chains buff, or else the things fall off. So here, and this number to pay attention to is also already buffed by the 4 times multiplier. So you are not actually that seconds right there, if you look, has already been kind of multiplied. So I don't know what happened here. Oh, I deranked my Varici, meaning that there's no follower to spawn in the safe house, so we're good here. We can just leave. And we have a pylon coming up. You'll see what happens to the pylon. Man, these maps take kind of a long time. How many minutes has it been? Yep. And actually, the character is huge, and the character stays so huge so long because the header buffs and the Inspire Learning buffs, they are all stacking on top of each other. So like, you just have a massive character at this point, literally impossible to kill, right? As long as you have all these, as long as you're not a slow leader. And Kadibro, ooh, a Debotos. Ooh, a rare item. Now, normally that's an amazing item. I would go back to town and I would actually buy that Debotos because, you know, pretty valuable item. Now, a lot of people doubt Prance, but as you can see, Debotos is like absolutely necessary item for, you know, lab runners everywhere. They love that item. So, yep, Yep, definitely worth, I would say. If you have I'm on an ultra wide. If you're on a regular like 16:9 screen, it might be a little bit hard for you to see. So it's important to have a really good loot filter that identifies the items on the mini map, because a lot of times you will be following just the mini map, right? So like the cost of being a giant like Godzilla monster that can't die is that there's a lot of clutter on the screen, and some people might say that this is annoying, but I think it's pretty fun. So we're gonna go take a look at the boss here. Now, unfortunately, the boss is dead, right? So you usually end up like just one-shotting the map bosses. Here's a metamorph. What's this? Yeah, catalyst is better than nothing, right? Take the catalyst. So this metamorph is gonna spawn here, and the metamorph is now dead too, and it refreshes your buffs. Oh wow, that's pretty crazy. Let's take this. Take the splinter. Tooltip is the tooltip is 21 million on that. It just showed because before it was actually off the screen, so it showed as a 0. We're gonna hit the Legion buff here, and a little bit of freeze, but you know the explosion takes care of all of it. There's some stragglers on the hills. Second room of burials is absurdly difficult if you have things spawning on the hills. Like the looting difficulty is bad when you're this big, because you can't, you know, sometimes you just can't get to it. You might be shrouding back and everything. Talk about shroudy as well. All right, let's click on all the loot real fast. And this is what I mean by like having a good loot filter, right? Because if you don't have a good loot filter here, you're gonna spend too long picking up items and your buffs will fall off. All right, so let's pick up these splinters here. Oh, I missed that one because my clicking is bad. These. All right, and did I miss anything? 2 out of 3 syndicate because the research didn't spawn. We check our... Ooh, what's this? 3C. Oh god, 3C. Whoa. Whoa, what was that? Tabby. All right, I think we're done here, and I'm just gonna show you how it ramps downwards if you take too long looting. Okay, so you can look at my buffs, right? They're still blue. I still have the temp chains. I'm hitting something. It might be the things like spawning in, but you will see my character gradually get smaller, and pay very close attention to the ES number and the health number. So you'll see like how the ramp down goes if you're not careful, okay, and how easily a monster can kill you. In fact, I want to go find a monster. Oh, here we go. Now that's what's gonna happen when your temp chains falls off. Okay, so although a lot better than if you didn't have it, you still got to be very, very conscious of that. Okay, that's the map right there. I hope you can see the difference between that and a white map. Okay, let's go back to town, and we will go over all this stuff as if it were a new player that had just gotten a header and maybe like past the header, maybe like 10, 20, 30 exalts to get all the gems, all the setup going. And then what is this guy with? Oh, I forgot to do this. I do this. Okay. Let's talk about skill tree first. Okay. So what do we need on the skill tree? You will probably be doing something like this, where you go over here for the phase acro. And if you don't want this, you can go over here. Lots of people go over here, but I think this is a pretty stable tree. Okay. The base nodes that we're looking for is anything to get us to 175 curse effect, right? The way that we enable the build, okay, and this is like non-negotiable, is that we get 175% curse effect on the temp chains, and that is with wearing a solstice virgil. So how do we get 175? Well, we get 25 from the Aki. On the skill tree, you can find curse effect with things like I've anointed this, and you got to get to 175 somehow. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to take a large cluster jewel set, 2 of them, right? These don't really matter what they are. I've taken, you know, some resist, some damage, and then this is kind of cool because blast radius is adds a little bit of lag, but in very small situations, it will actually give you that defense, especially on things like delirium, because if you can always freeze some monsters, right, like the smaller ones, then the bigger ones that don't get one shot can actually be frozen without you having to hit them. So kind of useful there, but not necessary. And I have, what do I have over here? I have just, yeah, same things over here. This is like not really necessary, just something I could get on a just try to get an 8 node, right? Very important to save skill points if you can. You try to get an 8 node large cluster. Now here's where it actually starts to matter, okay? Because large clusters, if you're a noob and you're like, wait a minute, blast freeze and prismatic heart and like whatever else, it's kind of expensive. Maybe it's 1 exalt, maybe it's 2 exalts, right? I don't want to buy that. Well, you are in luck, because like you don't really need these, but the mediums you absolutely do. So what I would recommend searching for mediums is just searching for a medium cluster with 4 or 5 And the reason that those don't actually matter is because 4 or 5 doesn't matter. It's because you can hit 175 with either. So I could hit 175 if I had all 4 nodes or if I had all 5 nodes, right? It doesn't matter too much. You can see here I'm running a 4 node here, a 5 node here, a 5 node here, and a 5 node, but I'm only taking 4 nodes here. And I'm kind of overcapped right now. So the question I get asked a lot is like, on the clusters, what do I actually need? Do I need exact ones? And the rules are, rule number 1 is you have to hit 175, okay? So you are gonna make sure that a medium cluster you search for, right? Search for maximum nodes 5, and you're gonna look for Dark Disclosure and Whispers of Death. Now, why do we use these? Because Dark Disclosure is 10% effect. Wow, 10% effect is like really big, right? Because this league in 3.13, they nerfed the small clusters, unfortunately, right? We were like, oh no, it's gonna be harder to get. We might have to use a Glorious Venite or something like that, right? But no, you have the 3% here, so 10% is huge. And then 10% is huge, plus this one is kind of cool too, because you get 5%, which is already bigger than these small nodes. And then you get a little bit of damage. And so this is like 2 nodes for 15, very, very strong. And so you're gonna count these, 15, 30, 45, already 60, right? Pretty good. Little nodes fill in the rest. If you are wondering about what small nodes go along with the 3% increased effect of curses, doesn't actually matter. I chose strength because I was kind of scared that my HH like 55 strength wouldn't be enough for some items, or you can go with dex if you're afraid that like some bows have like a 212 dex requirement, I think. And it's like it's a little bit sketchy right here, right? So the tiny small nodes don't really matter, but if you can tag some attributes or some resist on there, it won't hurt. But I did not specifically like in my initial filters look for those nodes. All you need is like the 3% curse effects there. Okay, now after you've gotten all of these, the best way to count your curse effect is going to be through POB. If you don't know how POB works, then you're in a little bit of trouble, okay? Because then you shouldn't be playing a build like this, or you should be playing like Enki's Dark Witch. But if you do know how POB works, all you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the calcs, okay? Calcs. And in the calcs tab on the drop down node, you're going to select temporal chains, and then there's gonna be a curse effect in a little box underneath it. Very, very easy. And it should say 2.75, not 1.75, because the 1.75 gets added to your base effect of 100. So it should say 2.75, and then that's it. Now you could go here, but I think some things aren't in there. So you might want to be careful in here, okay? But just make sure that says 2.75 in the POB. That's the best way. Now, another question that I get asked all the time, and this is gonna be really obvious to some of you guys watching, but remember, this is a new video. We're gonna go over literally everything here for the noobs, okay? And a question I get asked a lot on stream is, well, you have 183, you have 180, you have 177, right? Why do you have more? Is there another breakpoint? Is there any point in getting more if I just randomly have more? Is that bad? No, it is not bad. And the reason you might have more is that's just what you had on the tree, or you might be taking some extra because it has an extra effect. So let me show you this node over here. This is called Hexmaster, an extremely popular self-curse node, not because of the AoE and not because of the increased effect, although those aren't too bad. It is because of the skill effect duration. The Hex skill effect duration will actually increase the time on the temp chains, that purple temp chains icon that you saw in the top left. Because not having this, what's going to happen is that number, instead of being an 11, is going to be a 5. And if you are using a never sync normal, okay, nobody's using that filter. If you're using never sync very strict or below, or like even like if you're using never sync uber strict or below, you're gonna run into some issues, because you're gonna be like even looking at items that are on a filter that you don't pick up is a real problem. Okay, so if you're using some non-strict filter, you're gonna get completely cucked by that 5-second duration. You're gonna need more time. So what you really need is you need to make sure that you get this for the duration to make it 11, because then everything's buttery smooth. You can click on the items. You sit around too long clicking on your ash splinters. Everybody's been there. You forget to take it off your filter. You click on ash splinters like 20 times and you'll be safe. Okay, so that's why some people might be over the effect, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so if you go over 175 effect, will temp chains last longer on yourself as it relates to the buffs? Well, no, because your buffs are only capped at 4 times the amount. So going over will not affect head hunter buffs being like 85 seconds or 90 seconds, etc., it will just stay at 80. Now, what does it affect though? You have other curses on your character sometimes. So for me, I have LE weakness on hit and I have flam, right? So flam because Herald of Ass is a large portion of damage, and then LE weakness because I do try elemental damage. I think that's like the best way to build it. And so those two curses will be affected by anything over, okay? So any extra curse effect is always good if you're using other curses, because there's no real curse limits anymore except for things like Enfeeble. There might be a couple other, but I'm not using Enfeeble. So extra curse effect is always good if you've gotten it just passively on the tree and you haven't like really focused on it, okay? But make sure that you have your curse effect of temp chains at 175. That is the core of the build. And you will notice it, because if you get to like 160 and you're not at 175, you might only have like, I don't know, like 66 second buffs or some shit, you know? Like, I don't know what the actual math is. I have to look into it, but you do not want to be less than that amount, okay? That is the core. So we talked about the jewels, talk about this. Let's talk about this jewel right here. So what is Inspired Learning? And a common question I got asked is, can you run this build with no header and just Inspired Learnings, right? Maybe you have one here, maybe you have one down here. This one's a very popular one. And then maybe you have one right here. Hell, maybe you even have one over here. But the answer is you can run the build with just Inspired Learnings. Okay, you can, but I wouldn't. Okay, you're gonna be pushing rope, if you know what I mean. And it's going to be very stuttery. Like some maps you might steal 1 billion good mods, and then the other maps it's like 40 seconds in and you have like 100 ES, right? You're like really in struggle town. So it doesn't have the consistency or the baseline for the build. So although you can, just don't do it. Why do I use it then alongside the header? Does it work? And yes, it does. So the way that it works is you kill a rare mob, the headhunter is going to steal everything. Let's say a mob has 4 mods, right? It has 1 nemesis and 3 rares. It's got deadly, it's got shimmering, and it's got fizz extra fire. You'll steal all those. However, what an Inspired Learning does is it chooses one of them for each one you have. It doesn't, I have 2 right here. So for example, in that same rare mob that had 4 mods, it wouldn't choose 2 different ones because I have 2. One Inspired Learning would go through the mods, pick one, and the other Inspired Learning would do the same thing, choose one, okay? And this is why it's both good when you already have a header and why it's so bad when you don't have a header. It's so bad because let's say a mob only, you steal the shimmering twice, okay? Great, you have some ES now, you have 100% ES, well, 200% ES. But where's your speed and your damage? You don't have it, right? So it sucks. You're like, wait, is this even working? And then conversely, if you steal 2 deadly mods, right, for crit and crit multi, then what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh wow, I have a lot of damage now if you're a crit build, which you should be, and it's going to feel good. So you supplement your build with the Inspired Learning to get that extra juice at the beginning, because if you can stack up things like the movement speed or the deadly or the shimmering, and then you stack the life conversion to ES, it's just gonna all pop off at once. Now, how many do I recommend? Because this is really common, right? People are like, should I use 1? Does 1 feel good? Does 2 feel good? Does 3 feel good? Well, the answer for that is I would say that 2 always feels good. And when you're working with like 3 or 4, it gets really stretched on the tree where you might be looking at level 99 plus, because if you look at the requirements for the Inspired Learning, you have to have 4 notables inside the circle, okay? So the best way to actually like realize this is you just mouse over here. If you don't know if something works with the jewel, just mouse over the little circumference thingy right here. Boom. You see how my mouse has says basic jewel stock and it says when you kill a rare monster, gain its mod. That means it works. I'll show you what I mean by taking one out, right? So now I only have 3 notables. Notables are these like little big notes. So 1, 2, 3. Now look, you see that? When I mouse over it, it doesn't work because it only says 1% damage taken recruit as mana, which is my implicit modifier that I added on there. It doesn't really matter. You don't need any implicit modifiers, so that doesn't work, right? So this is how you can check, because I don't know if there's like a way in here where you can check. And if you're a new player, just do that, right? So this doesn't work. I assign 4 notables, and that does work. Some of these on the edge, it does work. So resourcefulness is in there, even though it looks like it's like halfway in, right? So that works. Make sure you have 4. I can't tell you how many times people have used Inspired Learnings and they forget that this was nerfed like years ago in this area. So some things like aren't inside of it and they don't actually have it working. So make sure you have the 4 notables. And if we look at the point value here, point value is pretty good in these 2 slots as a witch, right? If you're a shadow or like a ranger or something like that, this one, I mean, even I could take this one right now, but I just didn't feel like I needed it. So what you're looking for when deciding to use an inspired is it close to my tree? If it's close to my tree, amazing, right? You should go ahead and take that. Like, look at this, right? Like, these nodes are all so good, and it effortlessly fills out my 4 nodes, right? Same with this one. Now, you might say that there are some that aren't really necessary, right? Like, I mean, if you look at these two, I mean, come on, right? It's like, it has some benefit. It's not like some garbage over here. Like, we used to do 5 node back in the day with like Whale Fireball and stuff, where we go completely potato, and we would even take this one at like level 98 or something. And look at these nodes. Like, look at this, and like, look, trapped. Oh, look at this. Right? It's so bad. So if you have good nodes in it, it's worth taking. And then down here, you know, you have +1 max, whereas here you have crit multi here, you have like frenzy here, and you have herbalism here. So those are like good nodes too, right? You can even take like, you know, if you needed to, like acuity or whatever else, right? So this is also a good node. I would never stretch your tree into nodes like this, or if you're not over here, I would not go into here, even though these are pretty damn good nodes as well. Very good spacing here, okay? So it is worth it usually to do 2, and then 1 is fine too, because like if you're level 72 and saving like 1, 2, 3, 4 points here, that could be pretty big. So the lower the level you are, you know, you try to work up to 2, but then at higher levels you can go 3 if you want, but just like stick with 2 at the beginning of the build. Okay, I just use 2. So that's what we're doing there. Let's talk about this jewel right here. Now, this is a Militant Faith. You can buy this for 5C, probably. This is very cheap. This one costs a couple exalts because it has 2 mods. The reason that I use this jewel is not for the mods itself, okay? It is for this. This is a pretty good area. I couldn't find another area, as you can see on this tree, that I could convert a giant keystone into this. Now, what this does is that your power charges are 3% more damage. I believe I have, let's go to our charges. I have 7 or 6. I have 6 power charges, so that means that I could have 7 if I didn't use the gold, which I'll talk about later. That is 18% more damage, and because my you know, my frenzies, if you multiply 4% more damage by the number of frenzies I have, or that I could have, I wouldn't have as much damage, and it kind of synergizes nicely with you know, the Aki nodes here. So that is why I went this. Is this necessary? No, it is 100% not necessary. You do not have to do this because, and I'll explain why, okay? So let's say you have a base 3 frenzies. You wouldn't. You would have at least 4, maybe 5, okay, depending on inspired learnings down here. But if let's say you have 4 frenzies, which you definitely will have, that's 4 times 14, that's 16% damage, right? Now you might be wondering, well, I can't get a Redeemer chest. I can't get anything that gives me frenzies, right? I just can't fit into my build. What do? Well, it doesn't matter, because when you're playing this build, there's a mod called Gain Frenzy from the monster, and I guarantee you within the first half of the map, you will have that. You will 100% have that mod. There's like, if you watch any clips of any self cursor and you look at their bars, they're gonna have full frenzies, full endurance, okay, as well, because that mod on monsters is so common that you will steal it almost guaranteed in the first half of the map. So you get free frenzy charges just by being a self-curse build, so you don't necessarily need it. This is just like a little bit of smoothness at the beginning when you might not have like as much damage on demand, okay? So if you don't want to take this, what are your other options? Well, you just save some points, I guess. You might even be able to like path this differently, but yeah, you don't need to take this. You can take what else can you take? You might be able to take a Glorious Venite if you want more curse effect. If there's whatever reason where you're like, hey man, I just can't get curse effect, you know, there's a node called Ancient Hex, and that goes up to 15. It's been about a year since I used Ancient Hex, okay, but so I'm just going by memory. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but Ancient Hex can go up to 15% curse effect, and that's on a Glorious Venite, which is like a 20 seed timeless if you need it. But I'm telling you, you probably won't need it for this build because the clusters are good enough. But that's just like one extra thing, or you can just not take the nodes. Okay. Other things on the skill tree that I will tag as optional, okay? Because a lot of people will start at a lower level. You might be dying a lot as you get used to the looting. The looting is the most dangerous part of this build, because if you're a giant with like 20,000 ES and 10,000 life, you cannot die, especially if you're, you know, getting shrines with like +3 max or something. You cannot die to anything. It's actually impossible. So looting is the most dangerous thing. So I'll tell you like from the beginning, like what nodes you can drop when you're low level, okay? So I think that you can drop these 3 nodes here. This is just like a little bit of AoE. You can start by dropping these 3 nodes when you're low level. You can start by dropping this. I took this because I wanted to add ink AoE into my Herald of Ass, but that's not. You can drop these 2. If you want, you can drop other, well, you can't drop this, but What else can you drop? You can drop these two right here. You can definitely drop this right here, these 3 points. And if you're really low level where dying isn't really a detriment, because in a Beyonded map at level 80 you'll be getting so much XP, you know, even at level 90 you'll be getting so much XP that dying doesn't matter. You can drop this. Okay, I also sometimes, like, also I was getting a couple of questions about this because people were looking at other like PoE ninja builds and they're like, why does everyone go over here, I guess, and like not take this? I'll tell you why I take this. Because early on you're not going to have any ES, and having the ability paired with, like, let's get you get hit by a small thing, right, 5% right there, this gives you that smoothness to maybe avoid an early death, because you're only vulnerable in the first 20 seconds of the build. Okay, so by taking these things and taking things like Lunaris, you are avoiding the things that would kill you. And I think that the smoothness by taking these outweighs well, there's not really any downsides, but I mean, you get a little bit less of the other defenses, but you didn't have any of those to begin with. So so yeah, this thing right here, I would not switch off this for any reason whatsoever. Okay, maybe you want the points, maybe, right? Maybe you want 6 extra points and you don't give a shit about hitting level 100, so you're like, you know, I'm just gonna YOLO, I want to go into more speed, more damage. You could maybe do that. Okay, we talked about the timeless jewel, we talked about the swaps, I have an inspired learning up here. Yeah, new player video. We gotta go over literally everything. Implicits on my jewels are from a harvest craft. Is very common harvest craft off a, you know, Crimson, Viridian, Cobalty jewel. The best thing on there, if you had to choose something, I guess avoid poison or avoid shock, right? I guess if I had to choose, because I have a dowsing flask and I can't be stunned. 10% stun is like a 1 out of 30 chance, and you get stun immunity from here and you get stun immunity from here. So, like, you know, you don't really need that, but if you had to, okay. Okay, other little things about this build on the skill tree. Let's see, any other swaps that you could go? Not really. I think that is good. There's no swaps that you could do here, because if you take this off for this, first of all, you're not going to notice this. Nearby is a weird keyword in PoE, because nearby can mean different things, but I can tell you that your Explodey is going to be doing most of the damage, so you will get like no benefit out of this. Okay, and then if you have a metamorph that's regenning, doesn't matter, you're going to one-shot that metamorph and it's going to provide its own buffs to you, so that doesn't matter either. So I wouldn't actually take this if I were you. Okay, we're done with the skill tree. Let's talk about gear. Ooh, here we go. Core items, right? What are the core items that you have to have no matter what? And that is going to be the gloves, the boots, the belt, and the amulet. Okay, and the reason for this, the gloves, how they work is that the things that are socketed inside of it are going to be reflected back to you. A common question from new players is, what if I corrupt for temp chains? Does that work? No, because corrupted temp chains is on the gloves itself. It's not inside of the socket, so that will not work. You can definitely go ahead with non-corrupted version, just a basic 1 ouch, or like I guess 5C right now, 5C version. The chance to corrupt is 1% chance if you look on PoEDB to get LE weakness, or any of the curses are 1% chances actually. So if you want to buy them and corrupt them yourself, I think they're selling for like 10 exalts, 15 exalts right now. You can try to do that if you are more frugal, or actually it's kind of a javel, but I don't know. You can just buy them normal, right? The curse on hit is just a bonus that you'll have to get like +1 curse for. Okay, the belt, this is a header build. You want to steal and have those baseline mods for as long as possible, so you're gonna wear this belt. The why do we need the amulet, right? Because it's a kind of a weird amulet. It's like a 10C amulet right now. You're gonna run this because this is what makes it easy to get the 4x curse effect in the current version of self curse. If you don't run this amulet, I think you have to have like 275% curse or something abnormally high that you're just not going to get without scuffing the entire skill tree, using a glorious vanity, getting a bunch of ancient hexes, and it's gonna be like not worth, okay, 100% not worth. So you run this amulet, and this is what enables 175% curse effect that I talked about before. The temp change thing does not matter. You do have extra slots on this build. You could run a blasphemy temp chance if you wanted to, because your Herald of Thunder and your explosions that are causing things, they will outrange the blasphemy. But I wouldn't if I were you. Some people like to do it, but yeah, not really necessary. And so yeah, it's just to enable the self curse playstyle. So you have to use this. So that, and then the boots. So what do the boots do? Okay, because we've seen people not use these boots. The boots bring you to a baseline movement speed value because the temp chains will take you negative, and then this will bring you to that even level at all times. Increased movement speed will bring you above, obviously, so it still is very good to get the move speed, but things like tailwind and stuff will not work because tailwind is raising you by a more multiplier move speed, but the temp chains is always less, so it's always going to be starting from below 0. Don't worry about the math there. Just know that the acceleration stuff does not the tailwind stuff does not work. Okay, so you take these and you are not going to be giga slow. If you don't use these, okay, there's some self-poison memes I'll be playing very soon that don't use these boots or don't have to use these boots. You can outrun the negative move speed that you'll get from not having these boots. Okay, so when you temp change yourself, you're gonna find that you're like running through molasses. Okay, but you gain enough move speed and you'll be zipping around just fine until you lose your buffs. But I would say just, I mean, they have life on them. You know, you can enchant some move speed on them, and they're not bad boots. They stop you from getting stunned, so just use these boots. So those are the 4 core items. I would say if you're starting out as a new player, just get those items. You don't need 200 life on these. You don't even need the enchant. Just buy them for like 2C, okay, and you'll be fine. Okay, these are pretty cheap besides this item. Okay, next item, Explodey Chest. So Explodey Chest is the biggest AoE clear that you can get in the entire game right now. It is mandatory on all mapping builds to the point where I'll recommend some kind of Explodey if you are mapping. You cannot play without this. Okay, you don't need a 5%. I crafted this chest. The 5% is actually sometimes a detriment. I'll get into that. Actually, I don't need to mention that. You need to get some kind of Explodey. 3% Explodey on a Crusader chest. That is a Crusader mod. It is going to clear legions for you, right? Like 9% of the legions will get blown up by the Explodey. It's going to clear breaches for you. It's going to clear anything where mobs are grouped together. And more importantly, it will kill the monsters that you can't one-tap by running into it with a Blade Vortex. And it'll kill monsters that will cause you some serious stress if you didn't have it. So when you're doing a Blight, right? And you get that big-ass dude, like the little goat guy, or the guy that has that splits into smaller guys, like these high HP guys, what's going to happen is you're going to tap one white mob by it, and the white mobs around that thing are going to explode around the big boss and kill him, right? So kill blight bosses. Okay, Omniphobia and Cozy, the 2 blight things, right? They are really tanky, especially based on the map mods. So what's going to happen is you're running around, they're spawning mobs around them, there's natural map mobs around them. You might sometimes one tap them off screen by the Explodey, because you might think like, okay, 3% Explodey, why is that good, right? Like, what if I don't scale like Fizz? What if I don't scale this? Well, the Fizz Explodey is scaled by your damage. So like increases to like Fizz damage, generic damage, enemies that are cursed, you know, conversion, especially conversion is extremely strong. Because let's say you even get like this quiver right here. I'll talk about this in a second. Any kind of converted damage is scaled like 1 billion times. More importantly, the most important mod on this belt that you steal is a mod called 25% of cold and 25% of fire as sorry, said that wrong. 25% of fizz and 25% of as extra fire and as extra cold. Okay, there's no lightning, unfortunately. That's why I've gotten the implicit on this one. So when you steal those, okay, your fizz becomes many multipliers more than the initial physical hit would. So a 3% fizz hit can actually be more like the boss's entire HP, right? Especially if you crit, and that's multiplied by crit multi, which you have stolen from a mod called Deadly from the monster, right? So all these conversion, and you have global 100% global fizz steal that can stack. You can get you know, Brutal Shrine, which is like global increased damage. All these things make the Fizz Explodey just shotgun everything. Okay, so you have to have an Explodey chest of some kind. That is a mandatory role. Let's say you're starting out and you only have like a carcass check, or for whatever reason you just have no idea how to search for these on trade. Well, there are other Explodies out there. Okay, if you have 2 curses, you're cursing with like temp chains. Like some people like to use Asinach, Gentle's Touch or something, but those other Explodies, and like, you know, Profane Bloom from the Aki is super good. There's also Bleed Explosions and other explosions. It's like those are reliant on some other mechanics, so you don't always have the pure prolif or the guaranteed blowing up of the monsters. So they are not reliable, and they are not as much damage. You can trust me on this because there's not enough monsters exploding around the big monster you want to kill, right? When Beyond bosses spawn in, and you kind of have to run this with the Beyond on the map device, a Beyond boss is going to laugh at you if you have Asinach, okay? But if you have the big Fizz Explodey, it's going to pretty much one-shot him every single time, even if there's like, you know, a couple white mobs next to that guy. So pretty hilarious stuff. and you will definitely feel it. Another like side effect is that let's say you're running self curse because you want to farm maps really fast, and you want to, you know, farm that muns. Well, the Explodey makes you like a lot faster because you don't have to backtrack as much for the mobs and clean up. So so definitely get that real fizz Explodey. You can also get it on weapons, like preferably I would love to get a fizz Explodey on my bow, right? That'd be sick. But sometimes it's hard to get. But fizz Explodey on weapons, maybe you can like fracture a wand from like MP or Grumbro, and you can use that if you don't want to use the chest. There are other forms of Explodey, but you know, chests are easily resellable. They're pretty cheap to craft. Everybody knows how to craft this, so you can definitely just go ahead and get that Explodey. Now let's talk about other things. Rings. Okay, this ring, if you search for flammability on hit, right, on a circle of anguish, right, it's probably gonna be really expensive. But if you search for implicit flam at the trade site, there's gonna be a lot of these curses that are implicit modifiers that people aren't searching for, because most people are like, okay, you know, curse, I want on my anguish, right? But you can kind of snipe some of these. This is just for life and resist. I didn't feel like it was necessary to run another one of these, so yeah, that's pretty cheap ring right there. This ring is also, this was 30C when I bought this ring because it has reduced mana, which is actually very good. I'll tell you why in a second with the NKOE, and it has increased buff effect. Now, the reason you might want to get a circle of anguish, okay, does not matter what the implicits are. Just get like reduced mana and buff effect. Buff effect is mandatory, and the second mod is not. The second mod, if you are lucky enough to get a 6% increased fire damage while affected, you can get that. If you really need some fire resist for whatever reason, you can get the fire resist one. Reduced mana, if you want to pop off with your Herald of Ass cleanup with the AoE, you want the MTX to look cooler, you can get that. So the buff effect is really good because Herald of Ass has some nice properties, right? It cleans up, it has a massive overkill damage burn, and then also it looks really cool. Okay, so if you multiply that you know, that fizz that's extra damage, and we're using a fizz skill, then you know, it's kind of like a more multiplier. So super good there. But these ones like mine are incredibly cheap, and you grab one of these just because it's a huge boost to your initial damage. Initial damage is very important. Other than that, I have a bow. The reason that we use a bow on a spellcaster is because you can get a lot of levels. You need that initial big hit damage on your spell usually to get you started faster, right? To become like a super Godzilla character. So we use a bow for a lot of these gem plus levels. It's got the crafted level 2 plus 2 level support on it. And then you make sure that you, if you're not a Dex gem, you need to get the other one, like maybe like Int or whatever else. But I'm using Blade Vortex, and so that is why. This bow will cost you about 10 exalts plus, and you can spend all the way up to a mirror on like a synthesized +1 bow if you want. But this budget bow at the time I made this character, I didn't have very much money, so this is just like what I could afford. Doesn't even have like I mean 6% move speed is good, but like an implicit modifier would be good as well. So yeah, that's what you use there, and then you enchant it for the AoE because AoE is more important than LE damage. Then you're gonna have this quiver. So the way that you're gonna do this quiver is for the corruption is you're probably gonna look for the element that you don't have, right? So look at this fire arrow quiver, and the best part about it is you need the 50% of fizz damage converted to fire damage is a non variable roll, so you always get that. So 50% there is really good paired with my fizz to lightning. I'll talk about all the gem licks in a second, okay? So you want to get full conversion so you can run reflect Ellie, and it's just more damage. That 34% of fizz damage, the extra fire damage, that top roll is 35. You do not need to search for a perfect one of these because whether you have the lowest roll of that fizz as extra or the highest, it will not matter, because if you remember about the fizz as extra fire mod I explained earlier, you're gonna steal like 20 of those. So at that point, getting this is like a 2% damage increase, right? So Lily's making weird sounds in her sleep. So that's why you don't care about the rolls here. But the implicit, I was like, okay, I want more lightning damage, right? Because like I do have the fist to lightning, but I was thinking like if I ever were to convert to a different Watcher's Eye or something and I drop the fist to lightning, I'd want some. So you know, getting shock is like a more multiplier, right? Because we're a crit build, so I just wanted that. But the implicit, you can get any kind of fizz as extra, you know, fire, cold, lightning. I don't even remember if as extra element is a corruption, but you can get anything you want on that corruption. Okay, so that is why you are going to get this quiver and corrupt it, because the regular implicit for a fire arrow quiver is complete garbage. We're gonna talk about this this helmet here. So if you are looking at a helmet, ideally I would say that the goal isn't optimal. It's just fun. It helps a lot at the beginning, but later on it might actually slow you down because you might feel obligated to click on the shrines. If you're gonna run a rare helm, life, resist, maybe a +1 power charge would help a lot, and then minus some kind of resist from one of the conquer influences. That could be okay, I guess. And it'll actually be pretty cheap, but really you need the 30% curse effect, because remember, you need to hit 175, and this is a huge source of it. Why do I use the goal? So the goal has some really common shrines. You can't get every shrine, so you'll never see a Spellico shrine, you'll never see a divine shrine from the goal, but the most common ones are defensives, right? 100% defensives. You have the resist, which is +3 max resist, which at the beginning of a map, when a volatile is chasing you, you're not that fast, you can't tank all the mirages. +3 max resist is massive, and it's one of the most common ones. You also get brutality, which is knockback and a little bit of regular damage. It's global damage, and then the other shrines that you get are kind of whatever, right? So this goal is just really fun, because if you do touch a divine shrine, a natural shrine, okay, any shrine, it's gonna last like 6 minutes, right? And then if you touch a natural AoE shrine, which is pretty common, it's like the mid-range common for the small shrines. But if you touch one of those, or like the big AoE shrine, remember, it buffs it by 75%. So you're gonna have just giga AoE on everything. Your Herald of Ass, your Herald of your explosions. And a way to think about this goal is that it gives you things that you cannot get naturally, okay? So anyone and their mom can just get more damage, right? More damage is kind of boring, right? 10% more damage, 10% increased damage. You know, Fizz is extra, that's damage. Nobody cares, nobody gives a shit about damage, okay? Because it's so easy to get. Can you get more AoE naturally by running through a map? No, you cannot, right? You cannot just like be like, hey, I like 2 more radius on my BV. You can't get that. Can you get +3 max resist by just running around the map? No, you can't. But you will get it 100% of the time at the beginning of a map from this helmet. So it's like, it gives you things that are like, that have value beyond damage, okay? And it can actually save your life in the beginning of a map, right? Like even regen shrine and things like that. So that is why like this helm, every single league I try to get this helm until it's too expensive, or I try to get it early. Quick note on this helm, you can start whooping Raven masks, because you know how like in the Delirium and through the incubators, items drop that have an enchant, and sometimes those can be Merc or Uber Lab enchants. And so if someone drops a Raven mask with Temp Chain's curse effect, you can chance that into a goal in less than like it's never taken more than like 200 chance orbs, okay, in all the times that it's been chanced. So that is why you might try to whoop that mask, because people won't know. They'll be like, people don't drop a Raven mask and be like, oh, that could be a goal. It's just like, just what it is. It's a shitty item. So that's what that's an easy way to get it. I double influence it because it looks cool. It gets a cool little glow underneath it. You can use a gilded fossil on it. But yeah, so that's a really cool part about the goal. And because if you're using Prime or Awakened sections, you get a ton of Gloom Shrines, Resounding Shrines. Having those last forever once you get it, it's full 6 minutes. You're really gonna pop off on those shrines. But if you can't get it, it's not a problem. Once you get used to the build, you'll be faster with a rare helmet, because you won't be spam clicking the ground trying to pick up that small one. Okay, so that's the helmet. Things I didn't mention offhand, what I use Maloney's replica and this white socket, so I can level Enlightens or Empowers. I know I'm leveling Empowers because that's all I could buy in bulk. I couldn't buy the Enlightens in bulk, and Enlightens are better. So yeah, this build farms fast, and since it kills so many monsters, you definitely want to level some gems that, if you get sick of clicking on gems like I do, you can level the support gems like Enhance, Empower, Enlighten, because they take a longer time to go through. They only have 3 levels. And you will be clicking a lot of gems if you level regular ones. Okay, so that is all the gear. I hope I explained that well enough for the new players as to why you use those. And then we're going to talk about the flask, and then we're going to talk about the gems. Okay, this trinket is only here. If you didn't play Heist League, congratulations, you saved 3 months of your life. But if you did play Heist League, you'll know that this is a trinket. It does nothing in maps. It only works when you're in the heist, so don't even worry about the slot. How do you get the slot? You get the slot by either going into a grand heist that has a reward. It says reward Thief's Trinkets, okay? And then when you get to the end, you touch a little altar, kind of like the Uber Lab altar, where it says the catch. And once you touch that, this square will open up. You can go to you can pick a trinket. If you die and you lose the trinket, you can just go on PoE Trade, or sorry for saying that website, pathofexo.com/trade. You can go there and just buy one for like 1C and put it in. It's only for incubation because like I want an extra one of these since these take a long time. So one more incubator, a little bit of min max if you're playing a lot of maps. And then the flasks. Okay. Oh, also another way to get this, you can have a friend. If you guys have friends, Sag, you can have a friend invite you into their trinket blueprint if they're doing one, and you can just touch their catch and then just exit and it's gone. And then like you don't need to like finish the heist. You can just leave and you have that slot open. Okay. Flasks. The most important rule for you to check for when you're running this build, and you have to do this, is you need to check for warding, okay? Because it's very easy when you're leveling up, you're leveling some random build, and then you decide to go self-curse, and you forget that on all your other characters you had warding flask, and you might just like swap over a flask that has warding on it. Make sure you don't have warding anywhere, because warding makes you immune to curses, and your build does not work, so you cannot have warding. One downside of that is that the curses that are on a map, enfeeble, your vulns, what's it called? Like what's the other one? What's the other one that's dangerous? Enfeeble, Ellie weakness. Okay, if you are just at the 75 cap because you're like, oh, I'll steal thousands of resist later from the monsters, Ellie weakness will bring you down pretty far. I think it's like level 15 or something, or level 11, 12. I forgot what it was, but it will definitely bring you down below your resist if you're just at 75. If you look right here, you see how I'm capped right here? So I am Ellie weakness protected. I think it's at 103. You're protected on fire, but on these two I am not. So if I go into Ellie weakness, I better charge through those mobs and steal the buffs, because that's gonna wreck you, because no warding. Okay, so that's one thing to pay attention to. And enfeeble will really hurt because it's like, you know, it's like less crit, less damage. So make sure you're not using warding. Okay, chemist diamond flask prefixes does not matter on this. You just want dousing. Why do you want dousing? Okay, dousing is because you are going to get hit by so many volatiles, and you're going to get hit by so much fire damage that you really want to make sure that the ignite is not catching you off guard. Because remember, the ignite will be multiplied by 4 times. Not 4 times the damage, but 4 times the length. And that is, I get the most annoyed by ignite because it causes you to play in a different way, especially if you have low EHP at the beginning. And I really didn't like the stress that it caused. So I took the flask of dousing here. This one is a cinder swall. Cinder swall will save your life. Like you can get hit for like 9k, and then you'll kill a pack of mobs because your recovery means instant, okay? And it'll instantly heal you up to full. Really strong flask, especially with beyond spawning in. It's basically a full heal all the time as long as monsters are around. The best crafted one on there is critical strike chance. It's a max roll of 80, but you don't really need that. Just get the crit on there. If you're wondering about cost, when you go for a max rolled cinder swall, it can be extremely expensive, okay? So which one should you focus on? If you can only focus on 2, I would say ES is actually more important than life, okay? So you would focus on 3% ES first, and then you go for like, you know, 2 or 3% life, and the mana does not matter, okay? So that is what you should go for if you want to buy a cheaper one. If you go for the Quicksilver, you can go for Alchemist Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline, which is probably the best. Or you can go for an Experimenter's one, because Experimenter makes it last longer, and you won't really notice this boost in speed once you're stealing a bunch of monsters, okay? So Experimenters is a swap that you can do here. And even if you're really poor, like let's say you got all the gear and you forgot to buy your flask, you can even swap out that crit chance for something else. Oh, one quick note. If you have Adrenaline on any of your flasks, like the Alchemist Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline, there is a Cinder Swall. A lot of people don't know this. There's a Cinder Swall that has a chance to avoid stun, which you don't need because of this and your skill point. And movement speed. And you might be like, holy shit, dude, movement speed on my Cinder Swall doesn't work. That movement speed, although it's not tagged as like an Adrenaline, it shares the role with this. So once you pop this, once you pop your Quicksilver Flask, it overrides the other one, right? So don't get that one because it's wasted, okay? A lot of people get that one thinking they move faster, but you don't move faster, okay? You can check it right here, movement speed, if you don't believe me. Okay, so don't do that. And next, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab this flask right here. So this flask is super cool because it's kind of like a double dip, because remember, we're starting at Fizz, so we get that 20% of Fizz as extra, and then it's converted into all the elements, and then those elements get that extra 15%, okay? So you get that double conversion, a lot of damage, which once again is very important in the beginning of a map. The leech, okay, who cares a little bit, but the Chow's Resist. Okay, Chow's Resist is amazing to have this up. Once again, in the beginning of the map, if you spawn a map with a rare mod called Desecrated Ground, or you're running a 20% deli map or more, and they drop those giant pools of white glowy circles on the ground, you're gonna get absolutely destroyed. Okay, so I have 2.8k life. If I stand on one of those, it probably kills me in like 4 seconds or something. And I have, my resist is at -34. If you're at -60, it's gonna kill you instantly. Okay, not instantly, but you're gonna have a real hard time looting if you're looting after you kill all the mobs. Okay, I'll explain like the looting rules in a second as well. So this flask helps a little bit. Now, let's talk about Dying Sun. So this is a flask that has a lot of flexibility, okay? There are 3 flasks I could think of off the top of my head that will work here. Dying Sun, Wise Oak, which I use until level 98, 99, and then there's also Bottled Faith. Now, the reason you don't want to go Bottled Faith, right, is because you're kind of, the way you play this at the beginning is you're running through the monsters, okay? So you don't actually get that base crit or really that damage taken when your fizz explodies are exploding everywhere. It's kind of good, I guess, if you're like, if you freeze in one area because your computer's bad, like mine was with this last patch, but it doesn't have like the full juice that I really like. That, like, I like things that are active all the time. So Bottled Faith, although a good option, you know, it's fine. It's not really as effective as you might think. So that's why I didn't really take it, because you're not staying still long enough in the beginning. You need to zoom through to get all your buffs and to become Godzilla. If you're not Godzilla, then you're moving out of the Bottled Faith, and if you are Godzilla, then it doesn't matter, right? Because you have I guarantee you that the crit numbers here, where is it? So this is my Blade Vortex, right? I start with 14% crit, but this crit goes to 100 very fast because of the mod called Deadly, and this crit multi will go to like 1,000 something. Okay, so at that point, why do you need a Bottled Faith? So that's why I didn't use that, although if you have one laying around, why not? The other option is a Wise Oak, and the Wise Oak I took is because, and this is especially true if your resists are like mine, where it's kind of similar. There was a point in time where my fire res was coming from where is my fire res coming? I think it's coming from like this, and I don't really remember. Maybe it's like some jewels, but if you can get even 2 of these matched up, right? Because you're not focusing on Wise Oak for the offensive capabilities, you're focusing on it for the defensives, and having reduced damage taken on 2 elements is extremely powerful at the beginning of a map, right? Like, these maps are sometimes very scary if you get minus max res or like some weird stuff, right? So that's why Wise Oak is good for the defensive at the beginning of a map. Really, really nice. And then also, if you are running an LE weakness map, which is pretty I mean, it's like uncommon, but it happens, right? When you're running LE weakness, it will shore you up to the point where, like, if you didn't have 103 before, you're completely protected at the beginning of a map against LE weakness, okay? Because that is a massive multiplier. And if you want to go potato, like with like 3k health like this, you're gonna, you know, if you're not used to the build, it's gonna help you a lot. Now, Dying Sun. So why did I choose Dying Sun? Well, there's 2 reasons. So we don't care about the projectiles because it's not a projectile build. We care about the ink AoE. So getting your fizz explodey means that you clear a map faster, right? You are much safer. You have AoE overlap, which is going to shotgun the scary dudes way more, right? Map bosses, Abby, Setiage, Effiage, Naem, Baymeth, before they can jump your ass. And then it's also going to do it with Cozy and Omniphobia, the big dudes, okay? And also Blight bosses. So it helps a tiny bit with that, helps a little bit with the chain. And also, I think about like what can catch me off guard because I can't see jack shit, right? So if you saw the map showcase, sometimes you just can't see. And if you're standing around a ritual, standing around a strongbox, there's going to be a bunch of mirages. Okay, that doesn't really matter. But there's going to be volatiles and detonations sometimes going off. And if I can reduce my volatile damage and my detonation damage, you know, sometimes you open a strongbox, you're just not paying attention, right? And maybe your buff, maybe you're a little bit slower at looting at the beginning, and then your buff falls off, so you only have like 10k EHP. In these instances, I find that a Dying Sun is so good, right? Because you have less fire damage taken, and that kind of protects you there. But you know, it's not really a big deal. Use whatever flask you want in that slot. Okay, those are pretty much the flasks. Just once again, don't use a warding flask. Okay, those are the flask options. Let's talk about the gems. Okay, so we have our Blade Vortex. This is our main skill, our skill of choice, right? Because it stacks really heavily. It's got more multipliers on it, and it's just nice. It stays around you, so you don't really have to always cast something like EK. You're gonna have to like spam the button a lot. So you have the Blade Vortex. And then you have the Unleashed. Now the Unleashed, you can use a regular version. There's really a couple percentage difference in damage with the Awakened versus the non-Awakened version. And this will get you, if you see this Blade Vortex here, when I cast once, it casts 4 blades instead of 1. So this is what keeps up your BV. For the newer players, if you're worried about duration, BV lasts for 20 seconds with self-crits, because 4 times the effect. This effect is 5 seconds base times 4, right? That's 20-second BV. That's insane. So that's why I use the Unleash support, so you can cast less and still be at max stacks, okay? You see in the hideout, like if I'm casting, it's really hard to be at max stacks because it falls off so fast, but in a map, it'll never fall off. And a quick gameplay tip is that you can spam BV as much as you want, as long as you're either changing directions or picking up loot. So you'll see I spam it a lot because the moment you click on an item, you can click your BV because your cast time is gonna be so fast, and that will like kind of save you. You don't like stop in the middle of a map to cast it. You only cast it when you pick up an item, because you have to stop anyways, or you change directions. You're in Alba Temple, you go up, you open the door. Oh, I got to change directions. Cast BV to stop, because it will stop your character in its tracks, and it's kind of like a little stop sign, like, you know, like press the BV to turn around. Okay, if you want to do that, that helps a lot in making you faster and more exact with your clicks. So that's good. And then Fist of Lightning is because I don't use a Watchlight with conversion. I use the 50% here, and I didn't want to go full fire because full fire I feel is kind of a debate with a header build. So I went with lightning because shocks are more multiplier, and I'm gonna get so much stolen fire damage that I wanted the big lightning hits. So Fist of Lightning is pretty damn good right here. It's also a more multiplier. It's pretty good until you steal like a shit ton, right? Then it becomes DR'd. So I would choose Fist of Lightning here. If you want to look at full fire BV, you can just look at those build guides. I personally am not like that big a fan of full fire because, you know, because of how the self-course works, but you can look at those guides. Empower, just to get the base level of our BV bigger. Base level is things like radius. It's things like more multipliers to damage. And once again, damage at the beginning of the map, very important. And then we have the inspiration. So inspiration, you have to make sure you use mana for it. Okay, on some builds, like, I don't know why you would do no mana, but this costs enough mana, so it doesn't matter. But inspiration, you gotta make sure you're actually spending mana, and the inspiration charges last for a long time. Okay, it gives you more damage and more crit, which is pretty damn good. And then I have an Ink AoE. Now you don't really need this because Ink AoE on this build is more movement speed. The faster you move, the more area you cover, and your Fizz Explodey from the chest is gonna prolift everywhere, where you don't really need this too much. I just like AoE. So this is like a flavor choice. I like seeing my BV be bigger. I like seeing my explosions. It doesn't work on explosions, but I like whenever I cast my VBV, which has a bigger radius, I like that to be like really popping off. So I just love AoE. So I put that in there. It's not a very good damage increase. There are a lot of other gems you could put in here, like, you know, Control Destruction. Any kind of damage gem in here would be better, especially if your damage is super bad at the beginning. You might think about swapping this out. Okay, but don't use anything like alley focus unless you're trying to not permanently freeze the tower boss. Okay, so that is my gem setup right here. If you look at my chest, so chest is my supplementary skills, right? So things like Righteous Fire, this is a more multiplier. It's only going to tick off your ES, so it's pretty safe. It gives you a huge more multiplier to your damage. It also has like a nice looking MTX if you want to use that. I have the Grace. Now, Grace is not used for the actual aura. It's used for Whale Grace because remember, it's multiplied by 4 times. So that base duration of 6 seconds, that's 24 seconds of Grace. My goodness. So 34% chance to dodge, right? Let's say I've gotten hit recently and I have my 5%, right? So that's 39%. Well, what's 39% plus this? Oh my God, that's 69%. Crazy, right? And so when you think about like, this is 100% uptime, obviously, and then the Grace is 100% uptime. It's a massive defensive, right? I think people just won the prediction or something. So yeah, that's why I use the Whale Grace. Now, this one, Summon the Chow's Jolem. This one, you don't need any Jolem. You can put anything else in here. You can put like Ice Jolem, you know, whatever you want. I just like the extra Fizz damage reduction. That's kind of nice at the beginning of a map. It looks really cool. Then we have the Enlighten level 4, reducing all of the things here. We have the Awaken Ink AoE. Now, this one is for the Herald of Ass. Okay, you definitely don't need this gem, but I use it just because I love seeing the MTX of the Herald of Ass and like the cleanup, the burn, go a little bit. So yeah. So it's over an hour, right? So you can give them their points. Over an hour of talking, dude. I'm trying to make this video new player friendly. I'm trying to cover everything that a new player needs to know. Okay. So the ink AoE is just with the Herald Vast, and without these nodes up here, these 2 nodes, you might not even be able to do this, because most of the time you'll be sticking your Herald Vast with an Enlighten with your Hatred. So definitely take this out to start, okay? This is just a visual thing. So yeah, definitely check out the differences in the AoE though, because it is pretty spectacular for the visuals. Okay, in the gloves. Now, this is an area that's kind of important, because remember, we need that Temp Chains curse effect, right? So the Temp Chains has some quality on itself, but the Enhance gives it 12% bonus effect. So that's really good there. This is a way that we get over the fact that these little tiny nodes were nerfed to 3%. So we have an Enhance here, and then we have our Hex Touch. Now, you do not need an Awaken Hex Touch. You only need a regular one, because you need the quality. If you can get 23% quality, that's 11% curse effect, right? So you can add that in there. Those show in POB if you want to check. And so this is the way that we get. So Temp Chains, Enhance, a 20 or 23% Hex Touch, and then a Herald of Thunder. Herald of Thunder is the thing that is going to tag the monsters continuously. And remember, Herald of Thunder is also affected by Temp Chains. So the Temp Chains, the Herald of Thunder will be tagging monsters for a very long time, even if you don't kill a shocked monster. Okay, so that is your enabler of the Temporal Chains. Okay, so this is the setup here. I think that is it for the overall items and stuff like that. And now I'll talk about just some general things about the build, which you'll need to know when you get to a map, or based on questions that I've gotten while in a map. So when you go into a map, what I mean by looting is the most dangerous thing is that if you have a very unstruct filter, your looting is going to cause your Temp Chains to fall off. So the beginning of a map should be done by just running through all the mobs as fast as possible. This doesn't matter what drops. You need to kill massive packs of monsters. Hello. Right, and remember, we're always running this mod right here, Beyond. You need to kill as many monsters as you can and run as far away from those monster spawns as you can, because with Beyond, it's a very likely chance you're going to spawn some dickhead like an Effiage that's going to drop down a totem that has instant damage. Okay, Flame Blast not that scary, but like there are a lot of instant hitting abilities that they cast that will be very scary. So you need to run through, make sure you get a massive amount of juice on your EHP, and then you can double back. Okay, when you're picking up items, if you notice that you've been picking up items for a few seconds, let's say you've been picking up items for like 5 seconds and you haven't killed monsters, it's okay to go forward and kill some monsters to refresh and then go backwards, because you need the speed. Pit stops for this build are breaches. You can save breaches, you can save legions, you can save rituals, you can save metamorph, and you can save anything else that's gonna like abysses, maybe anything else that's gonna spawn a lot of monsters as a pit stop. So if you see your EHP going down, maybe you're a slow looter, you can't click as accurately, use those things, save them as a pit stop to refresh the juice, and that's when we can do it. Harvest, you can go in and select all the harvest options, go out, get the juice again, go back in, click on the options to kill all the mobs, and that is the way that you can do that. Or you should have no issue with bosses or anything like this after you get your initial juice. But if you find that your juice has fallen off at a boss and you have none of those tools available to you, right? Then you're just kind of screwed. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. If you have no little pit stops, you have your Temp Chains has fallen off because you're so slow at looting, well, that's just too bad. Then you gotta get, it's a situation where you just have to get good, okay, at looting. So make your loot filter stricter. I can't stress this enough. Stricter loot filter, be faster and more accurate at picking up items, and then always be trying to like tag monsters with your Herald of Thunder. Okay, so that is that's basically the build right there. As far as like the philosophy of running the maps like juiced, I would say 4 seconds for scarabs, because you need the monsters are as much a part of your build as the actual build that you're gonna do. And yeah, that's it. Okay, that's the video. If you have any questions, I stream every day on twitch.tv/QDog_. You can ask me there. Okay, and that's yep, a 1 hour video, over 1 hour video. Did I miss anything, guys? Did I miss anything? I think that's it. All right, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Bye guys. Bye. Wait, I clicked on the wrong thing. Wait, that was not the outro. Wait, YouTube outro. Bye.